What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Crypto Catch Up with me, Benny. Now, tonight we're going to be going over a new project, or fairly new anyway, which hasn't received a lot of hype at the moment, and it's certainly an interesting one. Now, it was proposed to me the other day, and I kind of blew it off because I'm not much of an artificial intelligence, machine learning kind of guy, and there's reasons for that, which we'll get to when we get into the summary. But it's kind of taken me by surprise, and I've looked into it and I've gone, hell, this has actually got a use case, though it is very bold in its plans. Like I said, I like the integrity the team has had to date, which we will go through, and their pathway that's got them to this point today. So FETCH.AI is the website, also known as FETCH, the token. It's an adaptive, self-organizing smart ledger, building an intelligent economy. Now, that smart ledger part is where it got me interested. So let's have a look. So they're saying, and this is all their wording here, the world's first adaptive, self-organizing smart ledger. So dumb ledgers, or that of any other blockchain effectively, and smart contracts are a false economy. They're slow, costly, and unfit for the demands of complex autonomous systems. Now, if you've watched any of my videos in the past, you would know that I also believe that smart contracts are not that smart. At the moment, even the smartest of contracts use oracles, which effectively, if you're not aware, is that medium between the real world and real world data, whether it be from IoT devices, weather stations, or otherwise, to provide that data into a smart contract for it to fulfill whatever the agreement was that contract was established on. So in the case of a weather station, if obviously the weather hits 30 degrees and that's what it says in the contract, it will execute that contract and do whatever it is that it has to do. But there's problems with that because that particular data is not always available. Is it real time? Can we trust it? Etc, etc. So Fetch is a next generation protocol built with a ready to go, useful proof of work system invented by world leading AI minds. Now, what it actually means by useful proof of work is, if you know anything about Bitcoin, it does proof of work on a computationally hard puzzle effectively to find that nonce. But the issue with that is that it's useless. It's useless in the fact that that puzzle means nothing other than to prove that you have expended energy and power or otherwise to solve that puzzle. Whereas what these guys are actually doing with their protocol here, or the consensus algorithm, is actually using that proof of work to do the, algorithmic or computational puzzles to solve some problems within the system. For example, because this is a artificial intelligence or a machine learning, there's going to be algorithms that need to be computationally run, problems to be solved, all of that, which actually uses a huge amount of power. So they're going to actually use that portion of the system that needs to be run to be able to, organize the data and infer particular things from the data, but doing it in a way that makes it useful for the system rather than just wasting energy for wasting energy's sake. Now, the actual white paper, or the yellow paper I should say, about useful proof of work is not out yet, but it's certainly an interesting kind of concept there by using it to actually benefit the system in another way. So Fetch is missing critical infrastructure for tomorrow's economy, or is the missing, I should say there. So let's fetch this. So Fetch is described as a next generation protocol that enables autonomous economic agents. Now, from now on, I'm just going to call them agents, to perform proactive economic activities. The technology allows AIs, artificial intelligence, on both sides of an economic transaction to interface with each other. It enables artificial intelligence to buy and sell a variety of digital assets from or to another AI, with contracts, payments, and execution all handled automatically. So what does this mean? Well, effectively, agents are like data warehouses. They're you or I. They could be an agent that is connected to Oracle kind of data, like IoT devices. It could be hardware. It could be software. Effectively, it's the buying and sharing of data in a way that makes it actually valuable, because data doesn't sell itself. Data at the moment sits in these big warehouses from eBay to Amazon or otherwise, and it's not actually used because it's siloed. So what this is actually enabling is a machine learning algorithmic kind of base where the data within this system is going to learn from the particular actions or the marketplaces or what's going on to best infer how to use this data, whether it be I as an individual run a marketing company and need to utilize that data myself, eBay, Amazon, I want to know, in this particular information, what I could do with it, perfect. Or transportation, if there's a particular set of tickets that haven't been sold across a network across a major country that might go across multiple carriers, it could actually utilize and place those carriers or agents in this circumstance together and automatically be able to book you across multiple networks. Kind of like Trivago with hotels in a way. You'd be able to use this data for that or use these agents for that in a autonomous way. So let's go into it a bit further. So it was founded in 2016 and has been in stealth mode. So they haven't actually come out until recently to say, hey, we've actually been working on this for a while. It is a next generation distributed ledger, and the team's actually made up of DeepMind pioneers. So DeepMind is a artificial intelligence company that's actually now owned by Alphabet. Alphabet being the parent company of Google. These guys are the real deal. So it's a combination of blockchain and DAG architecture and innovations, but embedding that artificial intelligence and machine learning into it. Now it's utilizing, like I said, that useful proof of work consensus, which is actually very interesting. And they're saying it supports millions of transactions between agents in microtransactions. It's a decentralized open system that's self-organizing. So it enables the discoverability of data for decision making, like I said earlier. And trading of excess capacity is possible. So if you have excess energy like power ledger or computational power or storage, transportation, all of these things can be bought and sold in an instant, real time, utilizing this decentralized artificial intelligence protocol. So it's solving problems before they arise, because with artificial intelligence, there's things like recurrent neural networks that kind of work out what's in front. What would be the next thing to come? And that's like text to speech, recurrent neural networks. They go, well, if you say machine, the next word could be learning, and the next word could be is fun. So that's what this is trying to do. It's trying to use this new understanding that we have of deep learning and neural networks to infer certain things, which is why I find it exciting, but also something I don't delve into quite a lot. So it's a ground up implementation. It's not an existing product. It's not built on Ethereum or anything, but it does have API integration from the word go for existing businesses and databases. And they're understanding that it's going to coexist. So there's a lot of things like people will compare this to IOTA. They say, well, no, it's not the same as IOTA by any means, but there is a place for IOTA in this particular workspace. So with this here, let's go along and have a look further. So what's my opinion? Well, like I said earlier, I'm actually not into artificial intelligence or machine learning, blockchains or anything like that. And the reason for that is because, one, blockchains fundamentally still have a lot of work to go in terms of just user experience, let alone adding something as crazy as artificial intelligence or machine learning, because that is something we're still trying to get right in big business, let alone in adding it to, nascent technology in some way, shape or form, such as blockchains or DAGs or otherwise. So this, for me, I'm covering it because it's exciting, but it is something to keep in mind that you need to follow these projects. And if you really want to get in and understand this, you need to start looking at deep learning and neural networks and understand how that's going to be a part of this in the future to make it worthwhile for yourself if you are going to be an investor. Alright, that's enough of that. Let's get into the tech. So this is a software stack for the decentralized digital world. So if you have a look here, you've got that fetch portion of it right there. So they've got here IOTA, Ocean Protocol, Seed, and a few others that they're actually saying, this is a part of the ecosystem. We will coexist with these teams, like I said earlier. So, alright, let's have a look at the AEAs, or the autonomous economic agents. Like we said before, just agents to make it easier. So these perform actions without external stimulus. the AEAs connect to another number of nodes. So they connect to one or many, but they do this to be able to position themselves, to search, and to advertise their data in a particular way. So there's a few ways that they can do this. They can do that geographically, positioning themselves, economically, or in a network. So the geographical goes, well, they position themselves somewhere along the lines, and they explore that in a linear fashion, and they see what goes on. Economically, well, if I was an agent, which would be possibly a marketplace of data about eBay or something like that, I would want to position myself economically with other people that would want to buy and sell such data, maybe Amazon or the like, or the network. So where they don't fit into one or the other, they can come through and practically explore the network however they means. Now that is within the AEF, the Open Economic Framework, which we're going to go through next. Now there's multiple agent types. So there's inhabitants, so hardware, IoT devices, interfaces, so interface between old and new technology via APIs, software, so digital only, so they explore and they organize data sets, digital sales agents, so they extract the value from that data or from these multiple different agents to find the best way to buy and sell that, and representatives, so representing me as an individual as like a digital butler. So agents interact between the Open Economic Framework, which we'll show a picture of in the next slide, and effectively it's data brokerage between such agents. So like I said before, it's an example of a data warehouse. Think of the AEAs as a data warehouse. So me as an individual selling and buying particular data sets, but it's organized within this open network the best way possible using artificial intelligence. Alright, so the Open Economic Framework. So as you can see by the actual vision there, by the picture, you've got that Open Economic Framework here. So it sits on the raw layer of the Open Economic Ledger. You have those, and what you'll notice here is that there's actually some form of artificial intelligence or machine learning running at every level. So agents live within the OEF, so they live within this area. It's like the ultimate dating agency. So it removes unnecessary boundaries for agents to interact and provides them a seamless environment to do their business about within that framework. They dynamically reorganize to present the best digital world for these agents to buy and sell. They're laid, like I said, on top of this raw protocol here. So they deliver all the value that these agents need without having to transact any further. Now, the actual token will be broken apart from the fuel, just like Ethereum's gas. So for an example, on the Open Economic Framework, there's particular commands that you can run. Some of them cost nothing, some of them cost something. So register, for example, register a new node, 0. Trust inquiry, 10 to 20. Now that's based on current white paper. It is subject to change with their yellow paper that is coming out later on. So there's a closer up of that. Alright, so what the smart ledger is there for, so it's a next generation ledger that learns from itself. It's a collective super intelligence. So it uses market intelligence, so it interacts with, or who these agents interact with, the conditions that they interact based on, why, when, how, are markets or agents overlapping, so it learns from that to better organize the network. So it restructures itself to present the Open Economic Framework to the right agents. Once again, all about getting data to sell itself, because it doesn't do that in the real world right now. So the development, it's written in C++, it will be open source, and it's IoT friendly. And I've just written a comment there, so it's not ternary, I hope, which is what IOTA has done, even though most IoT devices are binary, so on, off. But anyway, they're going to be providing examples within the SDK for artificial intelligence, and the wallet and the Explorer will be done natively for iOS, Android, Windows, Linux, and Mac OS, and they will provide full and thin node code within that environment. So let's have a look at the core team. So now this is an extremely strong team. Like I said, guys, this is from DeepMind earlier. So the co-founder and CEO is from DeepMind. So that's where I got the picture of down there. A lot of them otherwise are from either University of Cambridge, Sheffield, UCL, so University College London. And as you can see, as you go through, these are really high performing, you know, like PhDs, patents, like economic advisors. You're talking very well educated folk. And like I said, what I like about it is the fact that these guys have gone and actually done this in the background, and as a part of this have not brought out anything until they thought they were ready, which is what really kind of drew me to this project to really go into it. So what's the outcome? So what's our thoughts on this overall? Well, let's have a look at some of the answers. So the team, super solid, 10 out of 10, easy, any day of the week. Go and have a look at their LinkedIn. You cannot fault the team. They have written a lot of papers, economic papers and everything around dynamic economics. There's no way, shape or form that you could doubt them on that. So the business or the strategy, well, like I said, it's something that is very hard to, as an everyday consumer, connect with. A lot of people will not understand the value of this because we haven't got it right a lot of the times in the real world yet. And a lot of these sorts of things, like IBM Watson for health and other platforms, most people don't ever see that. They don't interact with that. So they're going to find it very hard to understand. So what I'd like to see, if we jump down two things from a marketing perspective, is for them to really dull it down and provide some use cases to the public with some possible video content for the visual learners to really explain what they mean. Resilience. So will it last a test of time? Well, because neural networks and machine learning is only starting to kick off, I believe that if they can make this worth it, yes, it will stand the test of time. Do they have an MVP or product? Yes, they actually do. So that's where the integrity comes into play here, guys. They've actually said that they will not launch an ICO until they have a fully working product that they have demonstrated its use case, which is outstanding because that's what you would expect from an IPO. So if we have a look at token metrics, none of them are out as of yet. There's no details surrounding that whatsoever, but that is surely to come into the future. So where's more information needed for me? Well, within the white paper, they talked about an RNN, which is a recurrent neural network once in terms of deep learning, but they don't really talk about how they're utilizing artificial intelligence, how they're utilizing machine learning. Now, whether that needs to come in a further white paper, for anybody that is reading this, that's the premise of this project. So we need to find more information about that, and I'm sure it's going to come in due course, because for me, it could be an MNN network whereby it's modular. It's working on these big problems and it chunks it down into smaller parts to work on these computational kind of puzzles. The computation effort and the miners required. Now that's a big thing for me. So overall, it actually said in the white paper that they don't believe that the AI or the machine learning will consume a lot of network bandwidth. Personally, I find that very hard to believe, and I'd love to see more information around that. So when they make their comment, they talk about the network as a whole, and if you were to compare one transaction to the whole network, I completely agree. But if you're taking millions of transactions a second that are requiring some form of computational algorithmic output, based on the work I do for the federal government, we're looking at data sets that are large like this, and doing that work takes server power. So we're definitely going to need a huge number of miners in this circumstance. Security, spam attacks. So they say they're going to have a yellow paper coming out for the security, and I'd like to have a look at that. So how they're going to handle spam attacks, destination-orientated inconsistency attacks, so where you have like a block effectively that then propagates more information back to one here and tricks it, effectively creating this loop. Overall DAG architecture, we haven't seen a lot of proven use cases with that. So you've got IOTA, you've kind of got RIBLOX in a way, or Nano now. So I'd like to see more information around that. And scalability. So the white paper says 10K kind of transactions a second, website saying 1 million. Bit of clarity on that would be good. I'm assuming they mean 1 million because you're talking IoT devices, but overall, the project as a whole is certainly very exciting. It is complex. The white paper is actually very easy to read, but because they don't go into the neural networks or how they're actually applying machine learning or algorithmic properties to this, it doesn't give you that deep dive into how the platform's going to work. So from a high level, from looking at the team, 100% think this is an awesome project, and I hope they do well into the future, and I look forward to seeing those white papers come out into the future. Like I said, guys, if we just jump over to their website, FETCH.AI, have a look at it here. It's a nice website, what they've done up. It's still very new there on Twitter, and you can have a look at their individual employees for their actual company here on LinkedIn. It's all ready to rock and roll. They do have that technical introduction, and I think the key word there is introduction, guys. So it's not covering everything off, but I wanted to get this out to you now, start the conversation, and maybe I can do another video later on once we know more details. So as always, guys, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll get more information out to you shortly. Cheers.